Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash Brent back after a hiatus, self-imposed, not mandated by anyone. Glad to be back. Ricky King, Mark Kurtz, Scott Tomko on the podium this morning. Welcome to the Atzenhofer studio, where we broadcast the Wade and Carter Show from every single Monday to Friday, except for last week, but
every day except on the days
week
that we don't.
Yeah, except the days that we don't. But what are we pushing?
77 degrees in Victoria, Texas, under cloudy skies, heading to a high today of 90. Doesn't that seem like May?
No.
Seems hot.
Yep.
Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. For everything you need, there's Deerland Feed.
Gone for a week, and that Wade and Carter blend fertilizer just made everything pop in my yard.
Yeah.
It's so mowed, but boy, is it green.
Yeah.
It's
No,
nice.
it's green.
It really did a good job. Cody Bauman checking in. Patrick Strauss, good morning. Bobby Leister, Daniel Wade White, Micah Patton, Marvin Mickish, Tammy Williams, Rena Scherer, good morning.
Ricky King says, you could have had Cody, but the best of your shows is reruns while y'all are gone. You know, we've toyed with that.
But the reruns.
But they're reruns, and so much of what we do, it's give and take with you folks, and it's timely. Like today, the things we're going to talk about, they matter today, and humbly, tomorrow they may not matter at all.
Yeah.
It's hard. We could have certain bits. I'll tell you when that would work is if we had more callers. If people called us more often to where we could say, you know, we're going to take your calls today, and we had sound bites to piece together, it might be a little bit more interesting. But there are times I'll go back and listen to a show and realize that Ash said something really funny that I didn't catch the first time. But that's probably more on me than so Cody answered, I wouldn't have done the reruns. I would have done the Commander Cody show, which is another reason that we just so there's us, then there's total silence. Then there's the Commander Cody show in terms of interesting. So we decided not to do that. Good morning, Marina.
Good morning,
Hi,
Marina.
Scott.
Scott Snow.
And Scott.
Justin Glass, Heather Stewart, Greg Garcia, Tammy Keeling, Tammy Williams, Jr.
Yeah, good group of folks.
Yep. Glad you're all here. I guess we got to start in Washington, D.C. White House correspondents, dinner shooting.
Wow. Bruce Woods checking in from Thailand.
Wow.
Attaboy.
Howdy, Bruce.
Good morning, brother.
We're huge in Thailand this morning.
That's right.
Hopefully every morning.
If you're over 5'6", you're huge in Thailand.
True story. So, I mean, the president, you know, Republicans will always blame the Democrats for not letting any crisis go to waste, politicizing any event, and almost immediately, this is why we need the ballroom.
Yeah, you know, there is always a political spin on everything. I do think they need the ballroom. I was just in D.C. The east side of the White House is a construction zone, literally.
It makes no sense that the judges have stopped it at this point. What are you going to do? Put it back?
Yeah. I mean, that it's plus I saw a video while I was there, one of those animated deals, you know, that it puts the date up at the top, you know, like 1910 or whenever the Canadians burned the White House. And so you see the White House on fire. It evolves, it grows out.
It was a pink house back then, actually.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, the White House has been in a constant state of evolution forever. I mean, I think it was under Eisenhower that they took a roof off and put a new roof on. And, you know, there's missile defense.
Did they get a bet? Did they get a bond for that, or did they save their M&O?
They just probably saved some money. No, they really just issued it probably as debt. But anyway, people. It's on a Monday. People are already missing the obvious that, you know, a good-natured jab at Cody.
Ballroom is not at taxpayers' expense.
No, it's not at all.
That's the other thing. Yeah. But I mean, you and I went to the Trump, what we thought was going to be a press conference at Corpus, and turned out to be more of a rally because he didn't really talk about anything related to Corpus or the region.
talked about Venezuela and
Pointed out the tanker
how
of
great
oil that
the
was
U.S.
sitting
was doing.
but you and I could have walked up to the old lady sitting at the desk going, "Oh, there's my name."
Yeah.
And she would have said, "Okay, here's your wristband." And then all we would have had to do was get past the metal detector and we were in.
Right. You got to remember where the guy was. I mean, the deal that happened yesterday, was it yesterday or day before?
Saturday night?
Saturday night. Yeah. You know, I mean, there were a couple of thousand people, and actually a couple of thousand of some of the worst people on the planet were at this dinner. It's the first time Trump has gone as president. He's been there before, and decided, you know, never to go back. And this year he decided, you know what, I'm going to go. I think mostly due to his inflated ego. I think he went to make himself, you know, inject himself. Of course, he's on the dais. He's not he's up there.
Yeah.
JD Vance, Marco Rubio. I mean, he took them all. But some nut job
which might not have been the best
planning
either, because who you left with at the end of if all of them got gunned down?
Nancy Pelosi.
Exactly.
But you get there and some nut job got, I mean, they call it the Hinckley Hilton. It's where John Hinckley shot President Reagan. It's not a particularly safe space because there's so many entrances and exits for support staff, food, catering. They're very difficult to manage the room. But my thought is this guy came up. He's a nut. Apparently he's a lone nut. And you know, he ended up running into the first line of defense, which was Secret Service law enforcement guys, and he shot one of them. And he, you know, I'm surprised they didn't just kill him, but they arrested him. And I mean, the president was never in any imminent danger. Neither was anybody else in the room. The thing was over very quickly.
No,
the guy was
really.
a nut.
Well, I mean, you know, I guess imminent danger, but when you see how they kind of just nonchalantly escorted Trump out of there.
Yeah, because the guy wasn't even in the same room with them. They said, Mr. President, we got to go. Yeah. And he's in his late 70s. He's not going to go into a sprint.
That guy wasn't. But
no,
at that time, you don't know who all might have been. I don't know. I don't know. It just struck me as weird. And in a time when somebody gets right in Ilhan Omar's face and throws apple cider vinegar at her, and everybody's like, "Ooh, it's poison."
Right.
You start questioning everything anymore.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I mean, and the fact that it got politicized so quickly, I have a hard time thinking that, I don't know. Was it staged? I don't know. You know?
I don't know.
How does a guy run that close? All the pictures I've seen of this dude, he's wearing no shirt and shorts. Supposedly had an arsenal on him. How does he get that close to everything with an arsenal that he's supposedly hiding?
Well, I don't know the exact location of where he was apprehended, but he was not that close. He came up, and Tammy Williams says it's weird because it was staged. I just would have to say, you got to say something about the fact that a Secret Service agent got shot. It'd be one thing if a gunman had come up and they had apprehended him and nobody got shot, right? But you got to be either in on the conspiracy or,
well, look how many conspiracies we've been in on,
right?
Over time, right?
Yeah. Junior, you entertain the peanut gallery. It's just embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but at some point, and you and I made light of the security in Corpus Christi at the time.
Right.
This is now the third attempt. on the president's life?
At
Has
least.
You
had the one that the guy shot at him in Butler. You had the one where the guy got apprehended outside. But was that an attempt? That guy didn't take a shot. He was just some nut job. We've got 350 million people in this country. To have a couple of dozen that at any one time are unhinged enough to go, and Bruce Woods sums up, he says, a simple lack of security allowed. But for whatever it's worth, Trump said, hey, I'll stay. He was not bothered. He assumed, and I think was correct, the Secret Service did their job. They apprehended the guy. He was perfectly willing to stay.
But I mean, in the video I saw of him leaving, the threat's coming from the ballroom, right? Not the dais. When they told him to leave, there's no Secret Service between him and the ballroom.
Right. Which
I thought they're supposed to be able to take a bullet for the president.
Well,
I mean, aren't they supposed to be between the president and the threat?
Ballroom is about the size of a football field.
Yeah, no,
and the guy was outside the ballroom. The president was not really in any danger.
But we know that now.
Well, you're assuming he knew it then because it was staged.
At the time a threat's going on, that's where the threat's coming from. And when they tell him to leave, there's Secret Service in front of him. There's Secret Service behind him. There's nobody between him and where the threat could potentially come from, which is the ballroom floor.
So
that just struck me as weird.
Tammy Williams believes it was staged because of the ballroom being tied up in court. The Secret Service was fine because of the vest. Do you think those guys were in the back just going, all right, okay, you had.
I know this is the movie The Bodyguard with Kevin Costner, but they seem to be more, I guess, good at their job. 40 years ago when Reagan got shot.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all over that.
They also pointed out that Trump, the lady that's in charge of the Secret Service, may get fired over this, which I don't think so. But the left has been bemoaning the fact that, well, the next person to get fired will be a woman. All Trump's done is fire women, Bondi, Nome. And so they're trying to make him misogynistic now when he put women on his cabinet. But they've been calling for everybody to be fired. And then when he fires somebody,
I don't know, his first time around, he fired every guy got fired that worked for him.
Absolutely. They pointed out who was what was the guy's name? Milley. What was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs under his first administration?
Maddox, Mad Dog.
But they said that he actually knew one of those guys for 1 hour before he put him into that place. These guys like Hegseth, he's known Pete for 11, 12 years now. So he knows these people. And that's why his cabinet has been good. There's Sheriff Louderback. Good morning, sir. Tammy Williams says, I spend way too much time listening to Baron Coleman. Yeah, the whole world's full of conspiracies. But
I don't know, things strike me as weird. And I don't know. It's just starting to distrust our government at all levels.
Well, I've been distrusting
on both
for
sides.
a long time.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. It just was, I mean, why does he even show up to that thing? Because he knows 90% of the people in the room hate him.
Right. Yeah. Junior says Nome was moved, not fired. Well, that's incorrect. Yeah. She was fired. He just found her another job.
Yeah, exactly.
But if she was absolutely removed against her desires as Director of Homeland Security.
Scott Tomko says just now, Ash, well, I mean, I gave Trump the benefit of the doubt, and I just think he's abandoned what he started when he was 45 and America first. And I don't know. I'm
still drinking the Kool-Aid. I mean, the last week we finally blew up another drug boat, but in general, I don't
have a problem with that.
Venezuela's quit bringing us, drugs at that level. And I think he's going to take over Cuba here pretty quick. And I think he's going to work things out with Canada pretty quick. I do. I think it's all going to become a North America deal. I really do. I think it's all coming together.
And weren't there reports that the first one they got rid of out of that room was J.D. Vance and not the president?
He was the closest to the end of the table.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, they just got him up, got him out. Then they got up to the president, got him out. I mean, like Trump said, I wasn't worried. The Secret Service had it under control. It wasn't like a planned attack by, 15 armed crazy people. No. Torrin Bales makes a solid point. He said 4 years of Kamala Harris would have destroyed this country. But here's the problem. I sadly believe now that, unless Trump can wrap up the Iranian situation really quickly, like he needs to either bomb them or not. Nobody has really paid attention to the fact that every time he grants them a ceasefire, or temporary ceasefire, he moves more militia into place. We've got another carrier over there now that came through the Suez Canal, of all places. I didn't even know that was possible. And it is staged. The stage is set for the U.S. to do whatever they need to do over there. I support that. I do. I just on principle. They've got it coming. They still have uranium, and we want it. And so that's the way that's going to go down. But everything the guy has done, in my opinion, has been to put America first. Energy dominance, getting rid of the drugs, arresting Maduro that we had a warrant for. Haven't heard much about him. We've already heard more about this guy in D.C. this weekend than we know about the shooter in Butler, Pennsylvania. We don't know anything about that guy. He dead.
I killed him.
Yeah. Headshot. Done. Yeah, it's weird.
I don't think so, Amanda King. I don't think this is going to cause my room rate to go up because nobody cares about me staying at a hotel.
No, I mean, it's not about the security was imported. It wasn't the Hilton security. It was the Secret Service. And there's just, there's so many ways to do something bad, right? I mean, this guy could have gone in there could have literally gone in there wrapped in explosives. And rather than shoot somebody, he could have blown himself up and killed a whole bunch of Secret Service people.
Yeah.
But he was not in proximity to the president. It's very interesting.
Bruce was my first thought, does this alleged shooter have any foreign bank accounts tied to Iran? I don't call him an alleged shooter. We had a Secret Service man shot or Secret Service personnel shot.
Yeah.
And if not for a bulletproof vest, this guy was a shooter. But
right.
I don't think you're going to find any bank accounts tied to Iran. I think you're going to find this guy's a lone nut job, or he was hired to.
I think he was a school teacher. I think he just had enough, and he was done.
He was a former nurse. He got tired of kicking out taillights on ice vehicles.
See, that guy was portrayed as he's a nurse. He wants to help people. That guy was a loon.
Yeah.
That guy was a nut job. He wasn't a peaceful protester. He was a nut. He confronted people who had guns, and then he was dumb enough to take a gun with him. He got shot. I mean, next, I could not care less if that guy got shot. That guy's an idiot. You don't take a gun and confront Secret Service people kicking out taillights. Tommy Kingsman with a good question. Any reason why he wasn't shot? I don't know. He opened fire.
ICE wasn't there. That's why.
Yeah. Monica Justice, he was from California. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. If ICE would have been protecting the president, he'd have been shot.
Yeah. I'm seeing more and more people, folks, more and more people are railing against the Electoral College. They want one person, one vote. It's not what this country was founded upon. They also want that, like they say, it's not fair that California only has 2 senators when they've got all those people, 38 million people live over there.
Yeah, we got the same number of senators as Wyoming with 500,000 people.
They don't understand that the House of Representatives is to represent the population, and those numbers fluctuate from session to session. And the Senate is designed to give equal representation to every state. there is a check and balance there.
We didn't have 100 senators until Hawaii came along.
That's right.
We had 98.
Yeah. No doubt. Tommy, I don't disagree. He says if you shoot him dead, others may think twice. But a guy that does this, his social media post had basically said that he knew he was going all in. I think he fully expected to be killed.
Yeah.
Some of these people have the idea of suicide by law enforcement. And I don't know what the situation was. They just wrestled him to the ground.
Well, because social media is there, they think they can live in infamy and
right
and be infamous for the rest of eternity. And I don't know. It's just crazy. But
there you go. BJ Nelson says if you don't understand the way it was designed, go to PragerU and look up Electoral College. It's a great explanation. BJ Nelson back in town, I assume, after her trip to D.C., the Bunny Pounds reading of the America Reads the Bible pulled off. Our own Michael Cloud read, Donald Trump read. When we met Bunny, she had said, I'm very hopeful the president will read, and then he did.
Yeah.
So that's good.
So, oh, it's just a weird way to end the week, start this week with what happened in D.C. But then again, it is D.C.
Yeah. I got out of there just in time.
You'd have been number one suspect.
Let's take a break, folks. USA Concrete Coatings, also USA Foundation Repair. They can level your driveway, level your home.
578 Home's the number to call.
578 Home. Call Charlie Garcia and get a quote. Get your driveway cracks filled and sealed. They can do that for you. Veracruz Restaurant, get back in today. It's Monday, which is only 2 days before called on Wednesday. But get in there today and enjoy everything.
Pre-called on Monday?
We could. We could get in there.
Chopping block. They've got the Wagyu Denvers in. I had one yesterday. So good. They've got wings on sale all this week. They've extended their Wacky Wing week sale to this week as well. It was last week, $3.99 a pound for all their pre-marinated or their marinated. They're not pre-marinated. They're marinated wings.
There you go.
All you've got to do is take them home and cook them. And I had the opportunity to try one of their stuffed bell peppers yesterday as well. They're pretty good. So yeah, you can get an entire meal at the chopping block. They have bacon wrapped asparagus at times. You get all the sides. Steaks are great. The New York strips are really good. So get over to the chopping block and talk to John or Wally or whoever's helping you, and they'll get it done.
Yep. And then Went Services, Went for all your electrical needs. If you need a new plug, if you need an outlet, if you need ballast for lighting, if you have a commercial application or a residential application, whatever you need electronically, call Went Services. Timmy Williams says, I thought Carter might be attending since this show is the best news source. I should have gone. It was $50 to get in, and I never really got the living, breathing agenda. We were quite busy. We did see Ted Cruz's office, John Cornyn's office. Of course, we spent some time with Michael Cloud and Mark Longoria. It was great. We did good. We did good. This is, for better or worse, this is the only real source for current events and an open discussion anywhere in this region.
Yep.
I mean, it just is. It does put some pressure on us to actually be right, which we are a lot more than we're wrong.
Correct as opposed to right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that could be miscued.
I don't think
he just admitted he's right wing.
Yeah, I'm certainly not right wing, but I am conservative. Folks, to No Bull Network, if you're out in any of the counties, really any of the counties in this area, Calhoun, DeWitt, Goliad, Gonzales, over in Karnes City, Atascosa, B, Frio, Jim Hogg, if you think that it would benefit you to have so many people hear your ad, feel free to call us. That 894-4020. I answer it all day long. Feel free to call.
Johnny Hunter with a good point, taking a guess, but I'm betting they didn't shoot him because it was inside, and the manner in which Secret Service, law enforcement, military were positioned, there would have been all kinds of crossfire happening.
There you go.
So
I just
solid point.
The president went on 60 Minutes yesterday, and true to form, CBS did not disappoint and just attacked the guy and talked about that this guy's manifesto said, I can't be led anymore by a pedophile and a rapist. And Trump just goes, I'm not surprised you read that on 60 Minutes. He goes, you should be ashamed of yourself, but I'm not surprised you read it. He goes, I'm none of those things. It's dumb. He goes, just as a matter of fact as you could be. A rumor is never true until you deny it, right? Yeah. It's never true till you deny it.
Pictures of him with his grandkids have been portrayed as him with liking little kids,
right,
sexually forever.
Yeah,
and then when you tell them it's the truth, the left and the Trump haters just double down on it.
But I've seen all the pictures, right? I've seen all the pictures of Oprah with her hand on his chest and her arm around it. She's like this, I've seen Oprah. I've seen Hillary just laughing out loud at Donald making some little joke.
Because he gave them all money back.
That's right. When he was their guy, when he walked their walk, they all loved him.
Which he really didn't politically. If you listen to old interview clips,
he was always saying Iran shouldn't have a nuke. Yeah, Iran is the devil. And they,
he hasn't really ventured away from how he felt 40 years ago.
No.
It's just not what Democrats believe in anymore.
Thanks, Greg.
If he would have walked down the escalator at Trump Tower and been the guy for the Democrat Party in 2016, they would have been loving him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. If he would have run as a Democrat, he would be their guy.
Yeah.
They would have let him take over from Barack with no problem.
Absolutely, they would have.
Yep. And he wouldn't have needed 80 million votes to get there either. They wouldn't have even had to do what they did.
Well, that debunks that whole electoral college thing, right? Well, we need whoever gets the most votes should win. Well, Trump had the most votes in 2024, so
he won.
Yeah, he won both electoral college and the popular vote. And you can't tell me Joe Biden is the most popular president ever.
Oh no, that's a joke.
I mean, all you got to do is look at the numbers. It's just there's such an anomaly. There's something fishy there, and there's election fraud. I don't care if anybody says, "Well, where's your proof?" The numbers. There's my proof.
This 74 million, 76 million, 80 million, 74 million. I mean,
the proof is there.
It was there.
And the fact that it didn't happen again, once all these states stopped harvesting ballots and allowing that to happen, allowing mass drop boxes, once the rules got tightened.
And all they did was put them back the way they were before COVID.
Exactly.
That's all they did was say, let's put the rules back the way they were before COVID.
Yeah. So,
Bruce, I don't know, man. We can talk about the school bond if you want. I'll give it very brief.
Here's the thing that I if you want this bond to pass and you're for it,
you better go vote.
Well, you should be voting anytime, regardless of how you feel. But you've got to stop with the condescending, it's only going to cost you $2 Starbucks a month argument.
Right. It's going to hurt everybody.
You have no business telling somebody else what they should be doing with their hard-earned money. And it's funny because
preach it.
Starbucks is now the villain when Starbucks is who you love, but you're not out there. And this is no slight on David Murphy and Chick-fil-A, but you're not out there telling people, just don't go eat Chick-fil-A 2 times a month and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because you don't understand the ramifications of that actually playing out. If everybody in this town did this, whether the bond passes or not, you're hurting business in this town. The same thing you say this bond is needed for to help grow.
Right.
You're a bunch of idiots who condescend people and try to coerce them into voting for this with the worst argument you could ever make. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And I'm done. Election day is this Saturday. If you haven't voted, make sure you get out there and vote. But your condescending attitude and you're looking down at your noses at people because they don't agree with you or they may not agree with you, you're not going to win them over by telling them how they should be spending their money.
Right. I agree 100%. You've got to let the bond stand on the merits of the bond. John Anderson asked if I'm ever going to run for another political position. No, there's no chance. I offered myself for a position that paid nothing, was willing to get things done, which would have worked. You know this because you were around at that time and we were as close as we are now. The only reason that I ran, and you know this, was to keep two specific people from running because they knew they couldn't beat me, and they didn't run. I'm not going to name their names. One of them no longer even lives in town, and the other has become a good friend. But I ran to keep them off the ballot, and it worked. Now, I was the first person on the ballot for that reason. You remember, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. Yep. If I would not have run, and if Raleigh McCoy would have declared early, I'll be honest, I would have voted for Raleigh. That's who I would have voted for, was Raleigh McCoy. My objective was achieved from the people you didn't see on the ballot. And that's why I ran. I don't need to run for office to get things done. I can do more standing right here for Victoria than I could ever do sitting in Dwayne Crocker's chairs.
Ben Jordan water plant.
Absolutely.
Spruce up. But here's the thing. I think.
Yes, Scott, you can throw away or you can keep your Carter for Mayor sign and I'll sign it for you.
It lines chicken coops very well.
It does. I've used it to do so. You've seen it. Yes, I've done it.
And by the time he runs again, teal won't be a color. So it won't be the in color.
That's right.
But here's the thing with that. You were the first one to throw your name into the ring, hat into the ring, name into the hat into the ring. We could sit here all day and mix metaphors. But I think that period should be shorter.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Mark Kurtz and I are on the same wavelength there. But
anyway. I do, Mark. And I've used it when we had the chicks come in. I had the little coop and I slid it underneath because I didn't want chicken poop all over my garage. And boy, the little chickens stink.
Yeah, they do.
Good. They get bigger. They're not quite as nasty.
Well, because you got them outside now and the air is blowing and it's flowing. Speaking of air blowing, tornado in Wise County killed one person. Another one in Parker County killed another fatality being reported in Parker County as associated with severe storm Saturday night.
No tornado is a good tornado, but it was only an EF2 with winds up to 135 miles an hour, which is, it's kind of like a category 2 hurricane as far as winds go.
Yeah. I found interesting, we get, there's a tropical storm warning and winds are going to be 60 miles an hour driving down from Alberta last week. Winds were 60 miles an hour all through Montana, Wyoming, Colorado. There are sections of the highway where they were telling you if you've got a travel trailer,
blow it over.
You can't come down this stretch of I-25 because you'll blow over. They just go about life. They don't panic when the winds are tropical storm force winds because they deal with them every single day.
That's right.
And we get 50 mile an hour winds here, and the weather service goes crazy and tells you to batten down the hatches and watch out.
I've always observed that the South or the Gulf Coast states and larger cities all handle hurricanes better than the Atlantic coast. I don't mean that they don't have equal damage. I mean that it seems like the Gulf states do a better job of recovering. Let's see. On this day in 1983, at the time, Astro Nolan Ryan recorded his 3,509th strikeout, which surpassed Walter Johnson, Hall of Famer, to become baseball's all-time leader. He just went ahead and added another 2,205. So the amount by which he surpassed Walter Johnson probably still ranks in the top 5 of all-time strikeouts.
Probably so.
His superlatives are so off the chain. He's got the most no-hitters, 1-hitters, 2-hitters, 3-hitters, longevity at the highest level. he is absolutely in baseball what Michael Jordan and LeBron James
had
are
the
in
Mets
terms
not
of
fire sailed everybody after 69.
Yeah.
He might have actually won a World Series.
Yeah. He always played on really average teams,
Yeah.
not because of him. When I was younger, the Astros would get 10, 15,000 people at a game because they were terrible. And then on Nolan Ryan, the night when he pitched, they'd have 28,000 people.
Yeah.
It was a huge difference.
Yeah. No, he was just very, very good pitcher. I agree.
Absolutely.
I think somebody had asked earlier how the Jags are this weekend in baseball. They won both their games against Jarvis Christian to win the opening round of the Red River Athletic Conference tournament. So now they're on to the final site in Shreveport. I think just outside of Shreveport. 4 teams go, and they're one of them. I don't know who the other 3 are.
Yeah. Bruce Woods with a great observation. There is a documentary called Facing Nolan, and you should look it up. It's a great, great documentary. Tommy Kingston calls him the Secretariat of baseball. Secretariat, to me, given the context of his greatness, is the most important racehorse of all time. I mean, for example, he won the Triple Crown in 73, 2 or 3.
73, yeah.
Right in there. I think it was 73. Correct me. It could have been 72. It was one or the other. And last year, every horse that was in the Kentucky Derby, every one of them was from his family tree.
73.
73. He's that important that 53 years later, every horse in the race was out of his gene pool.
Sired by him somehow. Or
he was a busy guy, never married.
No.
Yeah. Let's take another quick break.
Yep.
Let's do that for the folks. Folks, we talk about Chestnut Furniture Company and say Chestnut and Love make your house a home. Get by and see Bobby Leon. I saw Bobby the other day at an event for Ken Paxton, and I took the opportunity to thank him for his steadfast and just endless support of the program. And he said, thank you. And tell Ash I said hi. We have a great partnership. You just always do better at Chestnut. It's just a fact. Palace Bingo. It's where friends meet friends. Get in and have some fun. Play games.
We'll be back in there early May.
Yeah. We need to have a
I kind of like doing it earlier in the month like we did
too.
In April, to be honest.
We need to do that.
Yep.
Parvita Wellness and the Vita Cafe. Erica Briggs is going to come by. She's going to announce something about Mother's Day. Hopefully she comes before Mother's Day. Yeah. The Vita Cafe is a great source for fantastic fare. Yeah. Go by and see them.
Saturday, Sunday brunch.
Yeah.
You get Went Services for all your electrical needs.
Check them out. First Day Bank of Louise Astros update.
They win
I don't
yesterday.
know what to tell you. They win, but they lose
7-4,
the series to the Yankees. And
they didn't look good the first 2 games, I think, because Spencer Arguetti pitched yesterday and they actually pitched decently. Still, I think heading into this weekend series, they were the 3rd best offense in the entire majors.
Yeah, it clearly falls on pitching.
Or lack thereof.
Isak Paredes with a couple of key hits yesterday, including, I think, a home run. And it is now blatantly obvious to me that Christian Vasquez should be the starting catcher every day, and Yainer Diaz should be on the bench. So we've got that going. It's still early in the year.
Yeah.
But if the Astros don't get some frontline pitching, they've got problems. Big problems.
But who do you give up to get frontline pitching without destroying your offense?
I don't know, because you've got 3 men on the left side of and you've got that Bryce Matthews. You've got people. Jake Myers has been hurt. Loperfido is hurt. But you've got to be ready, because Paredes, Pena, and Correa can't all exist on the left side of the diamond. And you need Paredes' bat in the lineup.
Yeah.
The bright spot has been Yordan Alvarez, who's really on an MVP tear. Pete Strauss says they won't recover this year. You know, Pete Strauss is a lifelong Astros fan. He's seen it all.
I don't know. I'm not there yet, P. Strauss, and here's why. They're in the worst division in baseball.
Yeah.
As
Sid
bad
Finch.
as they are at 11-20, they're only 4.5 games out of first place in the division.
Right.
So
they'll definitely finish above 500 and all that. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about their record. They need to advance. Brian Small says they need to get Sid Finch.
yeah,
Remember Sid Finch?
I do remember Sid Finch. Probably one of the greatest April Fool's pranks ever.
Yep.
Peter Gammons, wasn't it?
Yeah, wrote that this kid, he threw it 110 miles an hour.
It was a Tibetan monk or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people fell for it.
Yep. They'd have to trade to the Mets, who are languishing with the worst record. Them and the Phillies, worst record in majors. Even the White Sox are better.
It is hard to imagine that the Phillies could fall so far so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing about the Astros that, like I said, Patrick Stroud's been around a long time, watched a lot of ball. These guys are playing at a high level for a very long period of time. Reminds me a lot of the 90s version of the Atlanta Braves.
2017, think about it. They win the World Series kind of out of nowhere, and they've been at the top. They were in the playoff hunt right up until the last week last year, and now they're languishing 4.5 out. So
yeah. Bruce Wood says Mattress Mac will still bet on them.
He probably will.
Torrin Bales brings up the Cowboys draft.
Well, before we get there, hockey half minute. Dallas Stars play tomorrow. Their series with Minnesota tied at 2. Colorado closed out their series with the Kings 4-0 yet last night. And the Flyers can close out their series with the Penguins today, and Golden Knights and Mammoth tonight as well. I thought the Cowboys had a good draft. And here's what I was happy about. They drafted defensive players.
Yeah,
because that's where they need help. Every defensive category last year, the Cowboys ranked no better than 29th in the league.
Yeah, no, John, we're in our 10th season here. We've been doing this since 2016, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we've been doing it for a long time.
The first Monday of November of 2016 was our
that was the first show. So let's see let's just say there's 200 roughly days in weekdays, and just use that number because I said 200
and
days.
Say roughly we take 2 weeks off from.
So I'm including that. There's 200 days we could have a show. I mean, I would say we've done at least 2,000 shows.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Would have been nice to track that. And then
pretty good.
Maybe had a 2,000 show celebration.
Somebody did.
Best ofs.
The CIA probably tracked it. Trying to make sure we're not terrorists. You have to wonder what, no good tragedy goes unrealized by the left. There will be some infringement upon your civil rights based upon what happened at the Hilton. I wouldn't be surprised if you have to start walking through a metal detector to enter a hotel. Please take everything. Boy, I'll tell you what, being in D.C., every building you go into, you have to empty your pockets. And, we did go, and we could talk about this, about the D.C. trip another time, except that we did go and see the pandas. Now, I'm not that kind of guy. I stood there for 45 minutes and watched Bowling, or whatever her name is, eat. She ate bamboo.
Did she do any somersaults?
She sat on her back and her feet were out in front of her, little panda feet about the size of my hands. And she just would grab it and skin it, and then just crunch, 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 crunch. And like a Then she got up, and they had these timbers, these pilings, and they built like some different levels for her. She went up and just she raised her tail up, just put her old rump down on that post, and
good man. Butt stretch.
Like, that feels good. Scratched her butt for a little while, and we all just giggled. She would have been laid over on her back, happy as she could be. Yeah.
The hijinks. But you could say you saw the pandas.
Cody, solid. I did stop mid-calculation. Yeah. 200 times 10, 2,000.
I think you'd need about a week to go through the Smithsonian alone.
Yeah, and the Smithsonian, me personally, overrated. I'm sorry. I mean, I went and saw, he says, I like their honey walnut shrimp. I went and saw Lincoln's hat Dorothy's shoes from the Wizard of Oz. Like the exhibits about cars, boring. The exhibits about the train, boring. I found this stuff about Thomas Edison interesting. I went to a while back, I went to the Museum of Natural History or Science about where they have the dinosaur bones and all that. Absolutely no place, none, anywhere in the building for even the concept of creationism. None. Everything there, everything talks about evolution. Interesting. Just an observation I had. Yeah, I agree, Bruce Woods. I've seen the Mona Lisa. She does not impress, except for the fact that she's from, the 1500s?
1600s, yeah.
Yeah, she's boring. I did see the Magna Carta, one of the original documents from the 1200s. That was cool. Of course, we saw the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, all that.
Yeah.
Great trip.
I saw something cool. If you get a chance, if you're ever in northeastern New Mexico, the Capulan Volcano National Park, there's a whole field of volcanoes up there in northeastern New Mexico.
Is that right?
They're all extinct, but I mean, that's what it looks like.
Wow, it's a real volcano.
Yeah, it's a real volcano. It was really cool. I had no idea it was there.
James Kerr said, did you hit the Irish pub that Reagan and John Paul II had a beer at? I don't know. We hit a bunch of them. I'll tell you this. There's a reason that Nancy Pelosi uses insider trading, because drinks are really expensive in D.C. Dawn points out that, yes, I will mention this. The original document of the Declaration is there. And if you see it and you look in the bottom left corner, there's a handprint, and you can see it if you look for it. I had never noticed it before. It was done by an archives staffer at one point when they moved the document. So some guy with chocolate and peanut butter, put his hand on the document and it left his
Mr.
handprint.
Reese's.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Very interesting. Now, of course, you see them, anything. They're wearing the white.
Yeah, the white gloves.
Gloves.
Yeah.
Great trip. T-Lat had a good time. We actually rode those little Uber city scooters. And that was interesting. The decision to do so might not have been the best.
After you left the pub?
Well, maybe. It was the oysters that got me. But it's cool. People ride. You see guys with
oysters make you brave,
right? You see guys with a coat and tie on, briefcase hanging from the handlebar, going down the street. Dawn says, "I didn't ride the scooters." I'm going to tell them.
She ran behind you?
No, she had put the address back to the Westin in her phone, and then mid walk, she changed apps, because it was taking her on the driving route. And she's like, I think it's right over there. I don't want to go down there, over there and back. I want to so she changed apps and ended up at a different Westin. We had to send a car for her. Yeah.
You can get directions for walking.
Yeah.
Gives you all the shortcuts too.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. One thing I didn't see driving, 2,000 miles last week was the wildflowers, but TxDot is helping you with that. They have added a wildflower layer to their statewide planning map. So you can see where all of the wildflower, well, that's why, because there's not a lot.
Yeah, they're all in that corridor of I-35 corridor. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, kind of cool. Shows you where where the wildflowers are blooming. And
I have to wonder.
They even have an area in there where they tell you where you can park if you want to take pictures, to get the best pictures. So it's kind of cool.
I mean, I know the name speaks itself that there are wildflowers, but how much of the flora that we see on the highways is seeded?
So glad you asked. I think They spend about $50,000, TxDot does, on all those seeds every year to encourage local tourism, because there are some hot spots that thrive on it with bluebonnet festivals and things like that. But there's also other reasons. I did a little research on this.
Hey, I did not know that, and I appreciate it.
Pollinating, bees, hummingbirds, all the things that help pollinate. They use the flowers for that. They help with soil erosion because the roots help keep soil from being swept away when it's windy. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. Tammy Williams says, I think what got us is everything looks like it's walking distance. 10 miles later, you only have 10 more miles to walk. She said, those scooters would be, can you see Tammy just blowing it? You remember, Tammy used to drive a 454 Chevy Blazer, and I just picture her like one hand in that deal and got a ciggy, right? Can you just see Tammy blowing down the street in D.C. with a ciggy hanging out of her mouth, just going as fast
Back
as
in the day when you could have a beer, she probably had a Lone Star in that hand with the ciggy.
Yeah. Kathleen Leininger.
And had the idiot knob on the steering wheel too.
Right? Is that what y'all called it?
Yeah.
Okay. Nancy Pelosi doesn't pay
What did
a
you
penny
call
for
it?
Now, I'm not saying it on the air. Nancy Pelosi doesn't pay a penny for the alcohol she consumes. The U.S. taxpayer. We went to.
I'll give Nancy some credit here. She's not a drinker. She's not an alcoholic. She just sounds like it because she's got ill-fitting dentures. But she's apparently never been a drinker.
Is that right?
Kind of like Donald Trump. He doesn't drink.
Now say the same thing with a straight face about Kamala.
Oh, so she's a lush.
She's a drunk. We did go to the gallery while they were the info said the House is not in session, but when we went in, they were like shh because they were voting. So I don't know what that. I mean, I don't understand the difference, but we saw Jim Jordan, Speaker Johnson, Nancy Pelosi. They were all there. Then we walked over to the Senate and watched. They do a different thing there. Everybody just the gallery or the Senate floor is basically empty, and people walk in, give a yay or a nay, and walk out.
Really?
They don't get in there en masse and vote. Thought that was interesting. The House was much more exciting. The Senate is kind of boring, to be honest. I mean, there's only 100 of them, and it's a different vibe. I think the senators are somewhat pompous.
Yeah, there you go. 30,000 pounds of wildflower seeds are spread along Texas roadways every year by TxDot, and they spend about $50,000 every year to buy those seeds. I think that's a pretty good deal, to be honest. Let's see what else is happening in the world.
What was here
today?
Let's see. You had number 4 or 5. What is all this telling me? Number 4, Texas baseball defeated Vanderbilt 4-3 yesterday. Number 7, A&M beat Florida 5-1 to win their 5th straight SEC series. Hats off to the Aggies. They're playing great baseball. I hope they're not peaking early, but they're playing very well. Number 5, Texas Tech softball secured their 2nd consecutive Big 12 regular season title with a 7-1 win over Arizona State. And number 4, Texas softball beat Kentucky 11-2 to sweep their 3-game series, while number 10 A&M lost 2-1 to number 24 South Carolina in the rubber match of their weekend series. So A&M lost the series. Yeah. Spurs beat the Trailblazers. We don't care about the NBA anymore. 114-93. But the Wemby kid,
he's pretty good.
Is pretty good. Scored 27 points in his return.
Yeah. No, I think he's going to be good.
Well, he's like 8 feet tall, right? Isn't he like ridiculously tall?
7'3", I think. Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, not quite Yao Ming, but pretty good. Texas State Health Services sending a notice of deficiency to every one of the 174 summer camps that submitted their emergency plan. Of course, they were required to submit these in the wake of Camp Mystic, and apparently, with their license application or renewal, they didn't
every one of them,
their emergency plans were not up to snuff. So the camps now have 45 days to submit revisions.
Doesn't that seem odd? I mean, isn't it weird to y'all that 174 people said, here's what we do, or 174 camps said, here's what we do in an emergency, and none of them passed? Does that mean that out of 174 camps that take care of kids in the summer, none of them hired a consultant? and said, what can we do to be compliant?
Well, they can't
None of
afford.
them?
They can't afford a consultant.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, Bruce Wood says he likes John Kennedy from Louisiana. He is funny.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just I
174.
agree with you. And there's some free FEMA emergency plan courses you can take online, and nobody at the camps has done this.
Camp Mystic, there's the headline. Camp Mystic among 174 camps told to revise their emergency plans to reopen. I believe personally that Camp Mystic will bounce right back, because I think there are so many former attendees who have such fond memories of Mystic, and also are realistic enough to know that, hey man, the river floods once in a while. You just got to be ready to move when it's time to move. And I hold the camp accountable for that.
Fox 7 in Austin, of course, not really worrying about any other of the 173 camps that received a deficiency notice, but focused on Camp Mystic. Notes that some of the issues noted in their letter from the state are lack of staff responsibilities in areas of safety procedures, including fire, medical, natural disaster, and other contingencies. Parent notification processes, pretty tough to do in the middle of the hill country where much of it doesn't have cell service at all.
Says here, over 42,000 Texas students were awarded money during the first round of the school choice lottery. I think that the legislature was providing money for up to 100,000 kids. It's going to have no noticeable effect on our schools at all.
Second week of the lottery is next week, and then if not picked, you'll be put on a wait list. The only thing I have a problem with, there are qualifying disabilities or at or below the 500% of the federal poverty level, and their siblings were part of the first drawing.
Right.
Here's the only thing is I believe a school from Florida was granted access to be eligible to take our funds, and I philosophically, I think I have a problem with that.
Yeah, I think that, number one, I think that the teaching, if you're going to get a voucher, the teaching ought to have to be in-person teaching. I don't think that it's right. And I don't know why. It's just the way I feel. I don't think that it's right to get a school voucher and then use it for some online course from a school in Florida. I mean, that money ought to stay in the state of Texas, and it ought to be with in-person instruction to me. It never crossed my mind. My quick thought was somebody might take that money and go to St. Joe, or take that money and go to Nazareth Academy. It didn't cross my mind that they would sign up for an online course in Florida.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And
but what does that do to those Harmony schools? I know they have a building in Houston, but they also have a lot of online stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's a purposely discriminatory award process. If you're disabled or really poor, low income, you get priority. And that's fine, because there is no doubt that some schools are better equipped to handle disabled children than others. And it's hard to build a public school to accommodate every type of disability. So I support that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Interesting. A lot of I'm wearing the Alberta Republic hat that the J-Dub and Anita got me. But there were a lot of petition drives for people. There's a real strong separatist movement in Alberta right now that I haven't seen it this strong. For a little bit I was there. They're fed up with Canada and the money that they give. Here's the funny thing. Canada, because it's a have province, because of the oil industry, they have to send money to Ottawa every year called equalization payments.
It's communism.
It is.
That's what
They
is.
redistribute the wealth. It's like the Robin Hood policy for school districts in Texas. Alberta, as a province that has a good economy, has to send money to Ottawa so they can give that to provinces that don't have good economies.
Most trusted brands in the state of Texas in order: HEB, Whataburger, Buc-ee's, Bluebell, and Dr. Pepper.
Imagine that.
Buc-ee's very quickly joining the state's elite brands: HEB, Bluebell.
There was a
Dr.
Buc-ee's in Colorado. I had no clue. Got into Fort Collins area, and all of a sudden there's a Buc-ee's.
Yep. John Anderson, thank you for listening in. All of our listeners at Magic 95.9, we love you. It's the top of the hour. We have to go. It's the rules. Hope you guys have a great day. We love you all. We'll see you mañana.
Bye, folks.